Hello, this is Binni here. How are you? Nice that we are doing this session again. I really love to do this session because that's how I get to interact with all of you. In the afternoon, there was a session 12:30. That's where I talk to my top pro students. Today, it's where I'm here to do a public session. It's live streaming to YouTube, to my channel. Alright, so let's get ready. If you can see my screen and hear me, give me like an indication. There's this thumbs up button. You can press the thumbs up button when you're watching the live streaming, or you can press the love button. You can press the emoji button, whatever that you want. So I know that everything is good and proper. If you can just give a thumbs up, then at least others know that this is a live streaming going on, and a lot of people love the session. Last week I did a session when the market was at the high. What do you do? And this week it's also about the same thing, because the markets are really at a high and you start to see a little bit of a rotations going on. Before I start the session, let's spend some time to look at the disclaimer, and also that the session is being initiated by ACAP, which is a very good broker. In my opinion, they are very dedicated to bring a very good customer service to the community. I gave some feedback to them, and they really took it all the way to the partners of the company, not the CEO, not the manager, but the founders of the company, to make sure that you have a good experience with them. Yes, Janet, I had my dinner already. I have like 2 meals together. So I have a slightly later breakfast, and then I have an earlier dinner. So in between my dinner to my breakfast, I think it's about a 16 hours or 15 hours interval that I don't eat. Hopefully that can help to reduce some tummy fats. Yeah, I start my day. Let me just introduce myself. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the breakouts, the laggards, and then of course a special deal as always. But let me just introduce myself. I'm not showing myself because I need to turn on the video and it's eating a little bit on the capacity. But I am as what you see here. It's just that I'm still wearing the jeans jacket because in the aircon room, I just had my dinner. And in the afternoon, I will trade the Singapore, Hong Kong, as well as the FX. So you know that, we are active in the Hong Kong and Singapore markets. Then at night, it would be the US market. Okay. Now today, what do you want me to talk about? Do you want to talk about the US market, or you want to talk about the Hong Kong market? I know that there's some feedback that I'm biased on. I don't know whether it's a positive or negative bias on the Chinese market. Yes, I know that. All right. I only am interested in markets, or in anything that can make money fast. That means I move where the money move. All right. So that's essentially me. So 2 weeks ago, we were very much in the crypto and BTC, in ETH and SOL. So these are the 3 that I highlighted. Let's review them, and also let's talk about the one market which I think is getting a little bit more interesting. And I think that I talked to you and I shared last week on what to look out for when markets are near to the high. So let's review that. Okay. But before this, just want you to keep the dates and to know that we have next Tuesday another session. where a student will be joining me. Student is Justin. So he'll be joining me to share his experiences. I think it's very important to look at how the other traders are trading and their experiences. Okay. All right. Now, before I start, well, of course, that the reason why I'm starting so slowly is because I'm waiting for more people to join us. And before I start, just to let you know, we have 2 courses, which is Top Plus and Top Pro. Today, what I'll be presenting would be mostly, or rather all of them will be found in Top Pro, and that's what I used as my main method. I won't say that I don't use the wash and rinse in the Top Plus. Yes, it's a combine, all right? So these are my methods. These are my strategies, and I use them. And for us, in our course, we provide 7 webinars a week to coach our students. 7 webinars essentially means that it's once a day. Of course, that a lot of people thought that we are only dealing in the FX market. No, that's not true. We use our method in almost any instruments, whether it's stocks, whether it's gold, or whether it's FX, basically, and even in cryptos, right? Basically, things that can move and move fast and fit the rationale of a high probability trade. And as well as we do use a lot of automations. I can also assure you a lot of exciting stuff are just coming up in the next 3 months. All right, so this is not how to spot the bottom because I'm just using the same chart. But I just want to go straight directly to my chart here. And I just want to update a little bit on the market. Okay, so I know that you are interested in the US market. But let me just do what I like to share a little bit. Because I like to share experiences with my community. Because right now, when I was younger, just talk about 1 minute about history, right? When I was younger, when I first started about 20-something years old. So it's really all about making money, all right? And I so happened to stumble in the training market. Partly because I'm really talkative. I really like to talk. So I really like to meet people. It's quite a boring task for me to trade alone or be with myself. So I find that talking with others, making friends, etc., it's actually quite a nice experience. Now, my biggest, aspiration is to leave a legacy. So I hope that those around me can really learn, can really benefit from whatever that I'm sharing. Okay. All right. Okay. Now let's take a look at the STI market. All right. Just a very quick one. I know that some of you might not be interested in the STI market, but I just wanted to bring out this STI market here. And one of the very important things that, I mean, of course, you should know my style. I don't share anything that's not important. So today I'm just going to share things which I thought that is important. All right? Okay, just give me a while, just 1 second. All right, so if you take a look at my chart here, this is a monthly chart. And why are we looking at the monthly chart? Because STI, if you follow the movement, STI is a Singapore market, which is a Straits Times Index. And Straits Times Index, we have 3 banks, and we have property, we have also Singtel, ST Engineering, some of the oil related company like Kappa, Sembcorp Industry, etc. And of course the REITs. So if you have a look at what's happening to STI right now, it's making new high. Usually when I want to look at how far it can go, I ask myself, right, how long, how lengthy is the base? Meaning that if you look at this, STI has obviously been consolidating. Okay, consolidating for a period of time. We can see that it is flat. What I'm interested here and what all of us should be interested in is how long is this consolidation? So I have roughly drawn in this bar here. Can you guys please have a look and then try to give me an answer on how long is this consolidation? It's years, okay, because every bar is a month. So right now what I have here is 213 bars. So how many years is this consolidation? Any thoughts? So if you look at a month, 1 year we have 12 months. And then that would means that if we have 213 bars, so you take 213 divide by 12, and that's about 17.75. So essentially we are talking about 18 years of consolidation, and finally STI broken above that. Okay, so this is a very important, very huge development, something that we really need to pay attention to at this moment. So this is about 18 years of consolidation, and finally STI broken above. Okay, broke above, right? Okay, now if you see if you look at the highs, so there are like few highs here. So this will be the high, and then this one here would be the extreme high. Okay, so these would be the all-time high for STI, because that's all the STI chart. So this is the all-time high for STI here. So let me just mark it. So this is all-time high, and that it's only this month. Okay, so this month here that we are breaking above the all-time high. All right, now imagine that price had been, let me just lower the volume. Imagine that price had been consolidating, and what are the reasons for one fine day investors willing to buy beyond the all-time high? Because at this all-time high means that people look at it, people will be concerned, right? Because whether it will break higher or whether it will come down, right? So what are the reasons that the prices are willing to break all-time high? So we don't know the reasons, okay? It's hard because there might not be just one singular reason, okay? But what we know is that the market somehow became very bullish for STI, okay? And the reasons are actually not important already, because it is the actions that's more important. Why is that so? The actions means that rather than stop buying at 4,000, even when it's the all-time high, people are still interested to buy. Okay, and we are not talking about just one or two. Okay, we are talking about a huge group of investors coming in, because we don't only find that at the all-time high, let me just clean with this line. We don't only find that at the all-time high, it's breaking much beyond the all-time high. So meaning that this was the all-time high. Okay, so this level here was the all-time high. And at this moment, there was an attempt to break. You could see there was an attempt to break, but it wasn't too successful. But take a look at right now, okay, where price is right now at 4,232. Okay, so that was a huge breakout, and it's also broken out of the recent high. Okay, because a lot of time when we look at past data, especially 18 years ago, sometimes you cannot remember. You cannot remember what happened. So yes, people do use that as a reference, right? But in this case here, we had a recent high here, and this recent high is a very important reference point, right? So for people to look at, and in this case, for that high, all right, to be broken, it must be a very strong force. Okay, all right, so this is an 18 years of breakout. Now, any question here before I move on? Okay, I explained this because there's a reason for me to to talk about this? Any reasons and any questions? Okay, that's good. All right. Now, just to share, not only that we had a breakout in STI, in the past 2 weeks, right? I was talking about the 3 crypto. Okay, one was the Bitcoin. So this was the Bitcoin that I talk about. Let me just shift that into a daily chart for you. All right. So this was the Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin always has a pattern, meaning that you want to, it's always like, well, for example, when price moved up, you'll always go into consolidation. And then when price move up, you will go into consolidation. When it goes up, it goes into consolidation, right? Now, in this case here, if you take a look at the Bitcoin again, then recently our entry on Bitcoin was when price was above this orange line here. So this was 108,462. That was our entry, and it wasn't the first time that I brought up this entry. And Bitcoin is again setting up for something again. All right, now let me just show you the similarities in terms of the patterns. It's always happening the same manner. It goes like up and it goes dong 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 dong, consolidate. It goes up and go dong 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 dong. All right, it goes up and it goes dong 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 dong, right? Okay, so last week when I was talking, I was just saying that, hey, look, we look for a retracement which is shallow. That means that it's not coming down too much, and I explained the reason why. Okay, but when it is in this consolidation pattern here, what would be everybody's dream is that if we could just buy either at the lowest point, but even that is not good. If we could just buy at the lowest point before it burst up, so that slightly after we bought in, it will just zoom up. And this is what we are looking for, right? Now, so the lines that you see here, which is called a tech indicator, which is something that I've designed and programmed, attempt to tell us that when is the end of each of this consolidation. So in this case here, the students are taught to look at the color lines. That means that to look at the orange line in a day time frame. And this is how we judge when the consolidation will end. Okay, meaning that, for example, if price is to close above the orange line, then it means that this particular consolidation will have ended. And if it's ended, it means it is likely going to hit up. So let me just do a little bit of a replay, which I did earlier in my earlier session, just for those people who didn't manage to join me. So you can see that Bitcoin had moved up. Okay, and because maybe of some excitement, some people bought in here at the high. Okay, maybe those who bought in might be positive in the long run, and if they bought in here, yes, today they are still making money. But this very lengthy consolidation, it's torturing. So one way that we can do is that we can wait for price to close totally above all the yellow orange lines that are being drawn. Meaning that from the tech point of view, if it closes above the orange line, then it means that price would have actually gotten out or broken out of this consolidation here. All right. So in this case, this would be a place where we are looking to buy. Okay. So that's history already. You can see that once price had moved above the orange line, it's just exploded upwards. Okay. Now, so again, that when price starts to consolidate, it's anyway, just pause a little bit. So this would be the place where our system predict support level if price is to come down. Okay, so that's the blue color line. Okay, and then it will go through a period of consolidation again. Now this period of consolidation is more like a place for people to accumulate for a change of hands. So sometimes you ask me, how do I know that it is accumulating, there's a change of hands? Of course we look at the pattern, but how do you know that it has stopped accumulating? Then we look at the price. We look at this magical price level that tech will predict to tell us that, okay, it's the end of that consolidation, it is actually out. So in other words, right, for this particular pattern, this consolidation pattern, right, to stop consolidating, to move up, then price will need to close above 108462. Okay, all right. Hence, if you look at our pattern, for example, there was a close above 108462, and then after that it's moved up. Okay, that will tell us essentially that the market, that this consolidation, mathematically it's to an end. Okay, so yes, I built this tag, which is this indicator here, all right, the lines that you've seen here, all right, to tell us that the end of the consolidation. Okay, now in other words, as I said, right, prices will always move up, consolidate, moved up, and consolidate. So in this case here, what tech is doing is that it's repeating the same process. It is coming up with this blue color level, which is the support level. It means that if price should come down, retrace, then this is the predicted level, which is 110775, that we are expecting a support level here. And we're expecting that consolidation to happen, which is actually good, because with each and every consolidation, it allows a change of hands from weak hands to strong hands, and also allows the strong hands to accumulate. So what we are interested in is that we are interested to just buy before it's actually burst up, okay, which is at the tipping point here. All right. So as prices starts to move, it will start to calculate where is the orange line. So why isn't the orange line appearing? Because it hasn't met the criteria for that orange line to be drawn. So this would be the same pattern, similar pattern, right? I just wanted you to get familiar with the orange lines, because this is essentially how prices work. Okay, now let's take a look at the Ethereum here. All right, just want to talk about that. Ethereum was a trade that I mentioned last week. Okay, 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't say last week. All right, it was a trade that was mentioned even when it was here. Okay, let me just do a playback, right, to show you again the use of the orange line. Okay, so a lot of us are scared of corrections, of retracement, of price heading down. Now, we are scared only if we buy at the high. That means that if you bought in here, let's say when Ethereum was at 3,005 or 3,750, and when it starts to see it move down, of course, then you'll be scared, because then whatever that you bought in earlier will be expensive. But if you do not have a position, then each time it's coming lower means that you are able to buy at the lower price, provided it doesn't tank, it doesn't move to zero. Okay, but for us, it's different. What we have is that we actually, or rather, I think our community love this kind of a correction, because this also means that we are able to buy at a lower price. But of course, that we are not going to buy when it's coming down, because it could be like a falling line and it could continue to move lower. So our reference would be the zone of orange lines here, meaning that this D2 here, right, is the highest value, which is 2,156. If it's actually close above, it means only one thing: this consolidation had broken above. That means it's the end of this consolidation. It means that price is no longer moving down. Okay, now again, that let me just do a little bit of a role play, and you see the intersection between the blue lines and the orange lines, right? So this would be the place which is essentially around this candle here, where price broke out, and to show that it is the end of this retracement or this correction. Okay, so that's the first buy signal, right? But again, that when price moved up, it won't be going perpetually higher. It will always move up, and then it will take a rest. And up, it will take a rest. And up, it will take a rest. Until, boom, it's finally too high. The valuation is too much. And then it will start to fall. Okay. So, same thing, if you look at this blue line here. So, this blue line, it's where we start to predict. Okay. And there's this interaction between the orange and the blue line will be one of the best trading zone. Why is that so? Because this means that there is a conversion between two groups of people. One group of people will be waiting to buy when it comes down, this is a support area. The other group, which is the orange group, would be buying because price had already, moved out of this correction mathematically. Okay. Now this is where we predicted the levels of Ethereum. All right. So actually we predicted the levels of Ethereum here, and of course that we also predict the resistance level of Ethereum. Okay, and then and every time when you start to see that the orange line comes in, it just only means one thing. It means that prices is retracing. Okay, prices is correcting. Prices is building a base. Okay, the whole idea which I'm trying to say here is this word called building a base. Okay, now just now I showed you STI has 18, not months, but 18 years of base building. You also saw that Ethereum here, in this case, right? Yes, it is coming down, but if I were to show you the entire picture here, then you could also say that Ethereum in this aspect here could be doing a base building. Okay, now your aspect of looking at prices can be very different if one find a Ethereum is high up here, for example, at maybe 10,000, for example. Okay, just give a hypothetical numbers. Doesn't mean that you will go up to 10,000, right? So if let's say, for example, it is at the high, then this whole price movement here would be seen as a base building. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that this type of a base building is very important for price to garner strength, for price to move up. Okay. In other words, when I shared with you that I don't actually love an instrument, what I love is the pattern. What I love is the base building. All right. And it happens in the rotation stage to each and various instrument. So 2 weeks ago, I saw this in BTC. I saw this in Ethereum, and I saw this in SOL, okay, which are the cryptos, and after that they move. All right, so I move my money where I see them building up, and basically I like colors, and I look at color codes, which becomes a very easy way for me to recognize it. So in this case, the end of this base building, according to prediction, would be how much? What is the number? We are basically looking at the orange color only. What's the number of the base building? If Ethereum is to build a base here, what is the number that Ethereum must trade above in order to say that the base building has ended? Can I have the number, please? Let me know while I take a drink. And if you like whatever they have presented so far, remember to just give a thumbs up so that more people can join the session. Any thoughts? What number? Basically, which color line am I looking at? I'll be looking at the orange color line, right? Hence, the number is 2,608, which is around this level here. Okay, so let me just roll price a little bit. You find that there was reaction to this number and to this orange line, and finally Ethereum broke above. Okay, now when this happened, it means only one thing: the base that Ethereum has been building, it's the end of the base. Okay, the base building period has ended and price is ready to take off. Okay, so here what we need to do is we need to understand how long is the base. That means that what is that duration of the base. So basically the whole idea is the longer the base, the better it's that outcome. Because when you have a lengthy base, a long base, it means that that's a period of people accumulating. It's the same thing, right? So for example, if you have been accumulating a particular investment for, let's say, 5 years, and when it finally moved, would you want to give up your investment very quickly? You wouldn't want to, because you yourself have been accumulating for 5 years. It's not 5 days, it's not 5 months, for 5 years. So for 5 years, you want to have a at least 100% gain, because you've been waiting for 5 years already, isn't it? All right. So when this happens, we want to measure the duration of this base building. So you can start from the highest price around here, where it starts to go flat, the point when it breaks out, and this is a 56 days. So 56 days, it means that's around May period to July period. Okay, and then what does it mean? It means that, okay, this is probably a 2 months consolidation. Okay, if it's 2 months consolidation, well, it's not as good as versus a 18 years, but it's still good. Why? Because then it's not a 2 weeks, it's not 2 days, but it's a 2 months. Right. And this consolidation happened after Ethereum broken out of this downward correction movement. Okay. Now, in other words, right, people has been accumulating here for 2 months, and when it moved up, it's probably going to move in a substantial manner. All right. So that will be the assumption. Okay. So let's take a look at that price movement. I see that Ethereum right now had, from that confirmation of 2,608 level, it's moved higher towards as high as 3,800. So from 2,600 to move to 3,800, that's a $1,200 gain in about 2 weeks time, 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks time. Okay, so if you take like 1,200 gain, divide by your base of 2006, we are talking about a 46% or 45% gain in about less than a month. Okay, so this is the reason why I am not really focusing on one particular instrument, but looking at any of that consolidation. And when priced, it's out of the consolidation, not necessarily breaking its all-time high, because we have this indicator which is called tag to tell us that this is the end of the consolidation, and that becomes an entry price for us. That also helps to measure in terms of the price duration, and this let us know that, okay, a trade, it's ready. Okay, now of course that again, right now Ethereum, it's in its uptrending mode already. A lot of momentum is coming in. So what tag will do is in turn to predict a possible support level. Okay, so what it's predicting here is that this is a possible support at 3,500, and this is another possible support here at about 3,100 plus minus around this level here. All right, and we are expecting that again it's to come down here, or expecting it to come down here, and for that same consolidation to build up again and to track the orange line showing again once it's mature. Okay, all right. Now, not only that, what I also like to show you is this one here. And if you are in my channel, you know that I talk about, different time frame and different price level. Okay, so what is this red color line measuring? Because every line measures patterns or consolidation in a different time frame. So just now we were at the day time frame, and then now I switch to the week time frame, and this is measuring the weekly levels. So in other words, if you track this, it means that it is measuring this particular consolidation. It does look like consolidation if you look at it. All right, it does look like a consolidation here. Okay, because then price has been moving actually flat. In other words, the consolidation would be broken, okay, if price is to trade above this red color line, which is measured as 3,415. Now, in other words, last week when I was looking at Ethereum had a close above 3,415. That's essentially telling us that the consolidation, which is this one here, has already been broken. Okay, all right, and this is essentially how I look at trades. I mean, I don't want to chase trades when it is flying higher and higher and higher, and that's where it becomes very jittery for a trader. Because sometimes when you enter a trade, and I have students ask me, right, what do I think of this? What do I think of that? When I look at the price movement, I know that they jumped. They jump not at the base of the consolidation or at the start where the consolidation starts to break out. They jump when price had really traveled a lot and a lot and a lot very far away from the base building. And that's where they become scared. Because when it's at the base, they don't trust what they see. But when price starts to go higher, let's say 5,000, you say, oh, let me just wait for it to come back down because I could just buy in at 3,400. But when it goes to 6,000, you say, never mind. Let me just try to let it come back down. But when it goes to 7,000, I say, I should have just buy at, 3,400. All right, but I didn't. It's now at 7,000. And I read the report that it might just go to 10,000. And when this happened, what do? You might just jump in. And when you jump in, pop, you just jump at 7,000, which is actually twice, or rather it has already gained 100%. Okay, and that's where you start to become scared because you just do not know when that cookies will crumble. Okay, and this is very bad for traders, right? Okay, so this is where I want to point out that we are always looking at that key level where the consolidation will be broken and the length of the consolidation. So in this case here, right, for Ethereum, the length of the consolidation to that breakout point, you can just measure to slightly just one bar before the breakout point. All right, it's a 69 bars. So 69 bars in the weekly chart means this is a 69 week. All right, so 1 year has 52 weeks. So 69 means that it's probably 1 year and 3 months, something like that. So it is not a short consolidation. It is not 18 years of consolidation. It's 1 year plus consolidation, but good enough. You're not buying in a place where there is a 1 day or 1 week, but 1+ years, 1 year and 3 months consolidation. All right, but also we need to know when the consolidation is out. All right, now what I need you to do is I need you to focus into the red color lines. Okay, red color lines and into the weekly time frame. All right, I'm just going to show you a few trades that I personally was very proud of. All right, because as I said, right, I don't only trade in US market. I don't only look at the crypto, but because of the fact that all these lines are automatically drawn, it's very easy and convenient, especially for those people who are working, for those people who desire to leave the corporate world. I mean, maybe you don't need to totally leave the corporate world, right? Or maybe you can have some part-time, work. I'm not sure how it's gonna happen, right? But if you have all these lines being drawn automatically and you can remember the colors, it does help a lot. Okay, so let's take a look at ST Engineering, which is a Singapore listed stock. This stock is doing aircraft maintenance, and it's also in defense, has backlog of 3 years of contract, all right, not few. So fundamentally, it's a very strong company, but it is also a very boring company, okay? But I need you to focus on the color lines. So same thing, right? I need you to focus on the red line, okay? Now I know that you say, hey, Binni, you're already showing me things that have already happened. Later on, I will show you things that hasn't happened using the same concept. Okay, you just bear with me for a while because my intention is really to let you know, okay, right now, US market is at the high. All right, so your question could be that, should I jump? Should I not? It's very high already. Should I just jump like in April when Trump triggered drop, Trump tariff triggered drop, and that was the best point to buy. All right, but that, to me, that's history already. Let's not talk about that. All right. The key question right now to a lot of traders and investors is that now the market is at the high. Is it a frenzy hype that is going to crash already? And I don't want to be the one to land with a musical chair, the last one in the musical chair, right? Or is this just the start of a frenzy period that is just going to double again? Okay, so nobody has the answer. But in order to avoid getting stuck, then what can you do? All right, what are you looking at right now so that you can avoid that you get stuck with a weak trade or with a weak investment? So this is the aim here, right? Okay, so what I need you to do is to focus on the weekly chart and on the red lines. Okay, on the red lines here, right? Now, so this was that red lines, and the red lines was already pre-drawn. All right, so I said before, if price is out of the red lines, okay, that means that out of the red lines, it means that the consolidation, like this one here, this consolidation would have ended already. So it needs to be out of the red line. Okay, so we have two red lines here at that point of time. So at this point, price had already gotten out, but it's sort of like, still doesn't want to move up. It sort of, hover between the two red lines. It moved one above one, and then it just moved down again, and then it just moved up, hover around the red line, and finally it moved up. Okay, so yes, it does take a period of time, but you realize that this consolidation is a long period. It's all the way from 2013 all the way to the point where price moved out of the red line. So that's about 2023. So this was a 10 years consolidation. Okay, so once it had moved out of that red line, and then it also break above the all-time high, and the rest would be also history already. And this is what happened. Okay, so the price more than doubled. Okay, so beyond the red line was about $3.65, and right now it's trading at $8.27. All right. Now the other one was Kappa. Now Kappa was a trade that I mentioned in my hand holding session. Okay, same thing. If you focus on the red line, you see that these are the red lines here. Okay, and then price moved out of the red line, traded above the red line. Do you see it? Yes, traded above the red line, right? Okay. And what this means is that when it traded above the red line, as I mentioned, right, price always go up, and after that consolidate. And this consolidation is for the weak players to be flushed out, for the strong players to come in to do the accumulation. Right, when it's out of that red line, it means that this entire consolidation that we are seeing here has ended. Price is ready to regain its movement. Okay, and I also explain the concept of why we need to look at the length of the consolidation. If you find that the length of the consolidation is significant, it is not just a day or just weeks. They are months or even years. Because this is a weekly chart, and we have 96 bars. So when we have 96 bars means what? It means that it's 96 weeks, and that would be almost like 2 years. 2 years of consolidation, people are not shifting price lower, and ultimately people are willing to buy at even a higher price beyond what we've seen in that consolidation, there must be a reason. Okay, in other words, it could be a fundamental shift reason. Okay, so focus on the red line. You do see very nice effects of price movement beyond the red line. Okay, so that's Kappa. Now the other one, which is Sembcorp Industry. So this is also Singapore listed stocks, and this stocks here, same thing. It's did transformation in terms of business, so it also doing the same thing. It moved like up, down, up, down, up, down, and this was one of the most significant long period of a consolidation. So let me just measure this, right, from the start to the point that it broken out beyond the red line, and that's about 88 bars. So this is about 1 year and 9 months, right? And most important, you realize that the price action was generally very sticky along the red line. So this was the point where price broken out, and when we had that April Trump triggered drop, price moved down, hit the red line at about 5.72 and bounced up, and right now is trading at $7.82. Okay, and I explained already, when it's out of this lengthy base, it is not going to stop so soon, because people who have accumulating here for about 2 years, they are not willing to let go unless that they see significant gains. And people who can afford to hold the position for 2 years, they have already paid out for the stocks, and they are also not weak players here. Okay, so you can see, focus on the red line. Now Singtel has been very, very typical example of a consolidation. It's one of the most boring company, all right, because if you are stuck inside here, whatever, other stocks are making new highs. The US stocks like Nvidia are going higher and higher. You are stuck with one that doesn't really move. Okay, well, yes, you do get dividends, but then it's boring. It's one of the most boring stock ever seen. Okay, but we do have a lot of red lines, and finally price broken out of that red lines, retraced to the red line, which was at that point of time about $2.82, and right now it never looked back. It's right now trading at $4.13. Okay, so in terms of that consolidation, if you can look for lengthy consolidation, if you can look for tech that tells you that it has already gotten out of that consolidation by what we measure, it will be a huge, potentially a huge move, all right, because of that lengthy consolidation. Now, so this is the best, or rather one of the better approach, especially when a lot of markets are breaking or hitting all-time high or new high. Okay, so basically what you want to do is to find markets or find stocks that had this lengthy consolidation and is out of the red line, and the red line only happens in a weekly chart for tech, and in a daily chart that line is an orange line. So we have only two colors. One is the red, and that's in a weekly level, and then you have one which is a day, and that is an orange color. So we go by color recognition. Okay, it's only red or it's only orange. All right. Okay, any question here before I move on? Okay, and you probably say, hey Binni, you are showing me things that had already happened. How about things that hasn't happened? Okay, now just now I moved from a day time frame and I moved to the week time frame. And what if you do see lines, okay, in a month time frame? That's very interesting, right? You see lines in a month time frame. Now it means that I can look at the start of the lines. Okay, this is the tag, right? We look at the start of the line and say, okay, so the start of the lines measure the starts of the consolidation. So this is that consolidation that we are measuring. So we are measuring this whole consolidation here. All right, then how long is that consolidation? You just have to measure it. So that's probably 2013 all the way to now. Let's say 2024, and that will be an 11-year consolidation, isn't it? All right, now in this 11-year consolidation, then the question would be, has price moved out and gone and broken out of whatever lines we are interested in? Okay, so again, we are back into the orange and the red line. And it's just that in the month time frame, we are back into the orange lines. So it's either the orange or the red or the orange. Okay, it's just a different time frame, we have different lines, right? So in the month, it's always the orange. In the day, it's always orange. In the week, it's always the red, right? So in other words, when it's here at $3.25, okay, so price was initially resisted, but at around here, okay, at this bar and at this month here, when price closed and trade above $3.25, what this means from the tech point of view is that it had already broken out. It had already broken out of this consolidation. So that would be the consolidation that we are talking about. Okay, so we have to ask, is this a massive one? Okay, is this a massive consolidation? I will answer yes. And hence, starting from $3.25, it's moved a long bar towards $4.13. All right, okay. And then if you take a look at Sembcorp Industry on the month level, so basically that was the consolidation we were measuring. And that consolidation started around here at $1.40. Okay. And after that, it continued to move up. And then it had another consolidation here. And the consolidation here, let me just draw that, was tracked in this time frame, which was via the red line. Okay. So you see that each time when you have a consolidation and you move beyond that, it is generally a very good trade, especially for stocks. Okay, all right. Now, can this method be used in any other instruments, like, for example, crypto, in FX, in gold, or in oil? Yes, because this is basically what I'm trading. I'm trading in all these different instruments, and we are using it. Okay, so let's go back into crypto, the last one that I talked about, and was this one, Solana. Okay, and again, that I want to start off with the day time frame. Okay, so this was the day time frame here, right? Now, so in the day time frame, what we have was we had a again, day time frame, we focus on the orange line, and the week time frame, we focus on the red line, right? Now, so the day time frame, what SOL Solana did was it moved beyond this one here, all right, and it tested here, and then in the lower time frame, when I was doing the sessions, all right, we were able to, trade this consolidation, all right, where price moved beyond that. But I just don't want to show you the lower time frame because I don't have time. I just want to move to one market which I saw that it is a consolidation and has just broken out. Okay, so I want to focus on that market. All right. And then if you were to look at the price movement after the consolidation, you see that it's moved out and it's pretty very, very nice. The only problem of Solana is that we do have this level here, which is 220, and that 220 means that it is a resistance level, okay? Because it must break above this level in order for this whole consolidation to complete and to be out of it. Otherwise, it's always be consolidating and not be in that explosive mode. All right. So this is the status of Soluna. Okay. Now, anybody would like to know the market that just completed a 5 years at least consolidation? And I think it is not the first time that I talk about this market. And before I start this market, I just wanted to just run through some indexes. Okay, I have here a few indexes here. So the first one is Hang Seng Enterprise Index, China Enterprise Index. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and I just want to focus very much into the week time frame. Okay, so as I explained the weekly time frame, we are interested in the red line. I know that is a little bit confusing. Let me just take you through slowly. So as far as the China Enterprise Index is concerned, all right, so it has this downtrend movement here, all right, and it goes flat, okay, and you start to see that just around this period here, it tried to move out of this range. Okay, it wasn't too successful because it came back down and it continued to consolidate, and it tried to move up again, and this time around it rebounds back into that red line, and this time finally it took off. So I would say that for the Hang Seng China Enterprise Index, it wasn't very clear. Okay, but if you take a look at, for example, the CSI 300. Now the CSI 300 is an index that is tracking that tracks the Shanghai and Shenzhen exchange, all right, and it's the top 300 A shares. Okay, so it's focused on the top 300 A shares of Shanghai and Shenzhen. Okay, you realize that it's the same pattern. It was heading up, and then it did that consolidation. And what happened was that price finally broke through that red color line, and it consolidated for a few weeks before bursting out again. Okay, now what this means is that by trading above 3,835, according to tech, it's measured that this consolidation had officially ended. Ended means that price is out of this correction and is on its leg up. Okay, that's why also recently you start to find that the Shanghai and the Shenzhen market is actually doing not bad. Okay, so this one here, we do not have the red line. Okay, so it didn't manage to spot a consolidation, but we have the CSI 500 where, you know, it was still a consolidation and it finally broke out of that. So we do have probably the CSI 500, 300, which is the medium and the top shares, which are doing a little bit better. Now, the other one is this index, which is measuring the Shenzhen Stock Exchange that focus on the growth enterprise, innovative enterprise, a little bit similar to the Nasdaq style. Okay, Chinex index, and it had already broken out of the red line here. Okay, and that was just a few weeks ago. Okay, and how you can see that how well that price respected the predicted levels. Okay, now all these predicted levels, if you were to just do a rollback, we are able to get these levels much ahead, right? So I did a rollback. You realize that we initially had that red line, and the red line was somewhere around here. Okay, being a resistance to the index, right? And then priced broken out of the two red lines. Means what? Means that this correction officially had ended and it's moved out of the correction into the new state. Then price corrected again. Let me just show it to you. Price corrected again. All right. And then and we start to have that prediction coming in. Just let the price roll. Let me just make it faster. Okay, here we go. So we start to have this prediction coming in, which is about 2086. So in other words, as long as price can break above the 2086, it means that this particular correction will have ended. Okay, now here, that's where if you are looking at Chinex, then you are looking at this level. Okay, and we are seeing it was being broken about 5 weeks ago. Okay, all right. Now, so we have the Chinese indexes where we have the Shenzhen Stock Index, the Chinex, which is something like a NASDAQ. Then we have the CS 500, the Shanghai and the Shenzhen, okay, breaking as well. And then we have also the CSI 300. Okay, now I know that all these indexes are not within reach for a lot of us. Okay, and you know that recently I've been talking about HSI. Okay, so this is HSI. So the first time when we traded in the HSI was the break in the weekly time frame where it broke this 17,000. Right, that was the start of last year. Right, then that place it broke here. This means that this consolidation had ended, and it starts to move. It starts to move in that uptrending movement here. Right. Okay. Now, why am I focusing this time around on Hang Seng Index? If you look at the Hang Seng Index, it's one of the worst performer index. We used to know that Hong Kong stocks was doing well. We used to know that China stock was doing well. All right. But if you look at US stocks and US indexes, it's almost not coming down. Okay. Every time that it moves down, people enter and then we buy. But if you take a look at STI, take a look at the daily price movement. Okay. It's almost a little bit weird because it just doesn't retrace to give an opportunity. Okay. And people are asking me, what do I think about STI? To me, I can only answer technically, there is no sign of it actually moving down. Okay, there's no sign of any retracement. So people ask me, okay, what do I think of NASDAQ? I can only answer, if you take a look at NDX, for example, all right, there is only also no sign of it actually coming down. Okay, so there's a lot of fear in it because then you're just afraid that if you buy in right now, you might just catch or be the last one in that musical chair. Okay, so one way to do that is where I'm always spotting for opportunity and saying, hey, look, what does this mean? What does this mean here when it's above 25,000? Because 25,000 was a key level. So a lot of time where we moved into the lower time frame, we can't have an overview of the whole market. But if we can move to the higher time frame, okay, that means that if we can move to that higher time frame, we can have a very good overview of the market. Okay, so this is the monthly time frame. Monthly time frame means that every bar is a month. All right. Now, if you have a look, and let me just ask you maybe to just ignore the blue line because the blue line is not important for us, right? You take a look at that this level here. Okay, I know that the line sort of comes together, but that actual level of the orange line is about 24,636. So this is the actual level of the orange line. Okay, I just want to show you that this actual level of the orange line is actually there with us and has been accompanying us, right, for a long time. Okay, meaning that starting in early 2024, or even where we talk about this one here, starting from Jan 2023, we always had that orange line prediction. Okay, we have two orange line prediction. One was this orange line here, and the other one was this as the orange line prediction. Okay, now what does it mean? It means that this was a downward correction. Do you agree? This was that downward correction. Okay, so in order for this downward correction to stop, for price to move out of this downward correction, what price level must price close above? Okay, so again, that we are talking about a monthly level, a month chart level, a monthly level, and based on tech predicted that this is that level. Okay, so this is that level that we need to take note of. And for a long time, when price was moving, and we always had that level predicted, and it just never break above. Okay, it just never move above. Let me just make it faster, 10 times, right? And it's always there. It went through years, month, and year. And how long was that? For example, if you take a look at the start of this downward movement, even until here, we are talking about 70 bars. 70 bars means that this is a 70 months, all right? And then as we continue to move, I'm very sure we will hit that 100 bars. I think so. Yeah, I have a feeling. Because I actually didn't measure. I need to start measuring only here, right? So if it's 100 bar, then how many month will that be? 100 bar divided by 12. Not how many months, how many years would that be? And that's about 8.3 years. You see that even the recent price movement, when price moved up, let me just roll that again for you. Okay, and then I'm just going to do it a little bit slower. All right, then you see this was that level that tech was predicting, and if price is to break above that level, it's going to tell us that this consolidation will have ended. But even at that point, you see, it just hit that level nicely. See that? It just hit that level nicely as a tail, and it just refused to come down. So somehow the market is watching this level, and the levels are amazing, because then somehow they just work. All right, and somehow it just accurately predict that level. Okay, and it just went down again. It made a huge drop. It made a doji out of that level, went down, and it did a consolidation. Oh yeah, it didn't exceed that 100 bars. That was wrong. Okay, it's probably somewhere around here at 90 bars. Okay, let's see whether price can this time around break above that. Okay, so this is exactly total about 90 bars. Okay, so we are talking about a consolidation of about 90 bars for HSI. So if we just work on 89 bars of month, so 89 divided by 12, we are looking at 7.4 years. So we are talking about a 7.4 years of consolidation for HSI. All right, and to be, I wouldn't say it's already broken, because it's not at the end of the month, right? And it is looking to be broken at the end of the month. Okay, finally we see a bullish close, hopefully at the end of the month above 24,600. So you can just give it a little bit of buffer and say that, hey, look, I need to see that HSI has closed above 25,000. When this happens, then we can conclude the consolidation or the correction of about 7.4 years. Okay, that means I write down big. 7.4 years has been broken already. Okay, all right. Let me know what you think. 7.4 years broken. Okay, now, so the whole idea is that since if you know that this market could be a laggard, it's broken out of the base, and that's where we need to start to track, for example, the stocks involved. All right, so the best, I mean, the easiest thing is to take a look at ETF or to look at the key component stocks, because then it does involve the key component stocks. All right, or you want to look for laggards, all right, such as that the Hang Seng index had already broken. How about to take a look at the Hang Seng tag to know whether it has broken out of also key levels and whether there are tag levels inside there. Okay, or even, you know, you want to take a look at individual stocks, for example, whether any of the stocks has already moved out of certain colored lines. So for example, that in Tencent, our red line was here. So probably we don't have any lines here in the week time frame. Then we have to move to the day time frame to see which are the lines that have broken out. And if you can't find the day, and obviously that there was a consolidation here, all right, then you should be able to find that in the lower time frame. Okay, all right, so I've presented what I think about how to manage the peak, meaning that it's not to avoid, you know, or not to in a hurry jump in, but to really look for markets that still are, you know, just moving out of the base of a consolidation. All right, I come to the almost to the end of what I like to share here. Any questions before I move on again, and let me know what you think. Okay, so this is essentially how we look at the charts and how we trade. Before I moved on to take your questions, I just want to just quickly use this chance to talk about my course. All right, whatever that I've presented to you as part of the new AI, which I've developed, which is called Tag. Okay, so this is a new AI that I developed, right? I wouldn't say it's new. I've been using this about 10 plus years, and a lot of my work has to do with the algorithm in Tag. Okay, so a lot of users, when they use Tag, they always have one comment, and that is it is very accurate. Okay, the levels are there, and just magically, you know, the market respected that. Okay, now it's not only the levels, it's also about, you know, whether it's an uptrend or downtrend, or whether it is a consolidation like what I've presented to you. Okay, and you know that I always like to use colors. So with the colors, we have, you know, in various period enter trades like Tesla stocks, etc. And then many times of Bitcoin, and also these are some of the recent trades. And the Hang Seng is a very lengthy consolidation, and today I'm actually sharing that with you. Now just give me 5 minutes before I answer any of your questions. I'm just waiting for the questions to come in. All right, in the Tag, okay, so this is our offering. So not only that we provide the indicators for our system, because you don't only learn, you also need to have the tools, right? So Tag is that tools, but we also have our courses, meaning that we will teach you everything about what makes up Tag. That means the logic of Tag. It's not a black box. This is something that we teach you. All right, not only that, we do have a very extensive support, right? And our support is 7 sessions a week, right? That has this hand holding and this alien room, which is our support basically. Okay, now let me just also quickly talk about the promotion. All right, is that if you take the Top Pro course, okay, so Top Pro course is the course that I'm teaching. So this is an online course, means that you can attend the session anytime that you want. The materials are recorded, all right, and the course fee is 1,500. What does this include? It include the tech strategy. It include 18 months of the tech indicator, the one that you are seeing right now in TradingView, and also a 12 months of hand holding. In these 12 months, we'll be looking at the market together. I mean, we would be answering your questions, looking at the market on what to trade, what is happening in the market, what really matters right now. All right, so this is what we do in the hand holding. All these are done online. All right, and the best thing is that it comes with a cashback. Now, this cashback means that once you fulfill the conditions, all right, you get cashed back into your trading account. Okay, essentially with the cashback, it also means that your course fee is fully paid for. I mean, is if you pay like a $1,500 Sing dollar course fee, then with the cashback, then these sort of cashback would pay for this one. So your course fee is zero. Okay, if you want to look at that. Now, not only that, because tech is housed in TradingView, so the broker would gives you a $155 of a subscription cover. Okay, now so the total worth of this package is 1,700 Sing dollar. All right, so this is the cashback, meaning of the cashback. Now, what you need to do is you need to sign with this link here. Very important. You must use this link so that you can identify yourself as, our customers. All right, and the second criteria is to make a funding of minimum 7,000 Sing dollar. And lastly, is to meet a volume requirement. That means that in order to get the cashback, you need to clock a total volume of 45 lots. Okay, I would explain in the video what is the meaning of 45 lots, but it is not difficult to meet the volume criteria. Okay, now this cashback is something where if you want to take it, then you can take it. But if you do not want, then the course fee that includes tech that you have seen is $1,500. All right. Now, in order to get the complimentary 18 months, that means another 6 more months. All right. Then the promotion is valid if you were to pay via PayNow or internet banking. Now, if you are paying, let's say via credit card or PayPal, then you don't have that extra 6 months. Okay, you still get 12 months of tech indicator. All right, but if you do pay before 30th of July via PayNow internet banking, then yes, you get an extra 6 months of tech. All right, now let me know whether you have any question, then I can answer. Okay, and remember that the offers will expire on 30th of July. So let me just give you some of the key links here. So these would be the links that you can use to register for the course. And if you are interested in the to find out more about the sponsor, so this is the link that you can use. Okay, so I hope that you can join my course, because I mean, yes, I can talk about different stocks, but nothing beats by having a skill, or nothing beats if you do know on hand what is Baba doing right now. Okay, I know that a lot of us are interested in Baba, myself also. I would have a look at that later on. But I hope that you can take the lesson so that you don't miss out on a huge move. or you don't miss out on whatever that we are talking about. And it does comes with a cashback. All right, so this cashback is a very good offer. Okay, all right. Now, any other questions except on 9988, Baba? Let me know. Just to talk about that, the cashback is not a scam or anything. Our students, they do receive the cashback. That means the course fee fully refunded back into their trading account, okay, as cash. So this is the reason of why it's a cashback. All right. Okay, so for you guys, just to note, right, is that with the cashback, please do not take the cashback because then you just want to get a free course or get a free indicator. All right, you are really serious in learning from the community. All right, so please don't abuse the goodwill. Okay, because we went to negotiate the deals, we gave up our affiliate fees and sponsors for this cashback as well. Okay, so we try to make the entry, which is your entry into learning a skill, in a way free of charge. Okay, so in the first place, the course fee is not expensive. All right, and with this cashback, that means that you don't have a lot of risk in learning, or you don't need to pay a hefty amount to learn. Okay, I think this is really very important. Okay, all right. Now, if there's anything, you can just contact us here. So this will be our contact details. You can just WhatsApp us or send an email to us. Okay, all right. So let's check out 9988. Now, before I don't think that I can take a look at a lot of charts. Okay, it's my wish to do that, but I mean, I would want to reserve this for my students. So let me just check out 9988, which is Baba here. All right, now this is Baba. Now, usually for us, right, I will explain the logic. So it is not about just looking at the charts and that's it, because sometimes you can hear opinions, you can hear analysis, but I'm not sure, but I just feel that we need to know something ourselves. Okay, we just need to get a skill. We just need to know that we know, and even without me around or without the trainers around, you can still be able to make your own analysis. Okay, so for stocks, what I like to do is I like to always start off with the week. Okay, the week time frame. Okay, why is it that I want to start with the week time frame? As I want to have the big picture. Okay, so for Baba, you see that there was a red color line here. So this was the red color line at 88.8. So that's about $90. Now, in other words, if you look at the start of this line until that the point is broken, it means that this was the consolidation that the market, tech indicator was trying to tell us, right? By closing above the red line, it means that this consolidation here, it has ended. Okay, price is actually moving higher. Okay, so indeed that, yes, it did. It moved higher, but not only that, it's actually dropped back down. Okay, if I don't remember wrongly, in the day time frame, we had another entry here, because the day time frame had an entry here measuring the end of this consolidation. All right. Okay. Now, why does all these green color lines come into place? And Baba isn't the first time that I talk about it. In fact, when it was around here, I already talked to the students that we are looking at 104.6. Okay. Let me just roll back and show it to you why I was able to look at 104.6. Okay. Now, this was that level here, right? So when before price even moved down, before price, when price was here, or even I can just roll back a little bit more, all right, we already can see that 104.6 is that magnetic level. Okay, now why is that so? Because BABA at this point, right, it's showing a higher high, okay, and it's actually showing a higher low. All right, so I want to let you be convinced, because these are things I teach my students so that when I mention this, they understand. Not something where you don't understand, because if you are not convinced and you don't understand, then it's very difficult to execute a trade. All right, so when this higher high and higher low happens, it means that BABA has gotten out of this consolidation to start a new trend. Okay, so this is how tech is interpreting that. Okay, now, so when BABA drops, we are able to predict that it's around 104. Okay, let me just show it to you. Just roll back a little bit more. Okay, and then just like that. Okay, so that was where it's went a little bit, when that it came out with this 104 prediction. That means that if BABA again can come down to this 104, it shows that this uptrend is still valid. So this is why I can say, as long as price doesn't close below 104, doesn't trade below 104, this means that the uptrend, okay, so this uptrend, right, is still valid. Now, why is that so? Why do I make this remark? I have to teach you, and that would be in the course. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at what happened. It went up, it didn't manage to break above the zone, and then it's hit towards it has to go to 104. Okay, so it hit towards the 104 here. All right, okay, and then okay, so then it's got supported and then it moved up. So this is, as I said, right, tech predicted all these levels. Now, for us, it doesn't give us a buy like this, okay? So we had the support level, but it doesn't tell us that we're going to buy like that. So we have to go into the lower time frame. And the lower time frame, and that's where you see the orange level here. Okay, now what is this orange level? Now this orange level is called resistance level. So it means that when price is trading above the orange level, all right, then this consolidation has ended. Okay, that means that if price trades above the orange level, this downward correction has stopped. Okay, in other words, right, based on tech system, then the stocks, which is BABA, had turned bullish when it's above 112.5. All right, but if you look at the other section, what this says is that by holding and trading above 104.6, the uptrend continue. So essentially, this is a support level. But what the day tells us is that, okay, yes, this is a support level, but I also need to know that it is going to reverse up. Because if you don't use the tech level, it might just hover here for a long time before it can go up. Now, by trading above the tech level, it means that this is a support level, but at the same time, it is also above the level to tell us that this particular correction has ended. Okay, so this is the state of BABA right now. Okay, so what BABA did was that, I see it broke this level here, okay, 112.5, right? It went up, and when it moved down, you see how sticky or how magnetic, right, that price level is sticking to the tech level, and after that, it just boom, off. Yeah, this is BABA. Okay, so I can only answer you that, I mean, for those who are looking at BABA with tech, it is still the uptrend, and it had already shown that buy at this bar here. Okay, so if you have tech, yes, you would be, already detecting that orange line already. Okay, Ken? So for example, I know that recently we have United Health, and United Health is not the first time that was brought to me. Okay, and my answer was again that if you take a look here, right, it is below so many red line. That means that it's not even above the red line. It is below so many red lines. And these red lines here were already drawn before we even see price. Okay, let me just show it to you, right? If I were to just put it here, you see, when price moved down, dong, 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 we had already these red lines here, right? Coming out already. And the red line was 317320. This was basically the zone. Okay, so yes, a lot of people asked me, and my question was that, I mean, it's not even above the red line. It's not even above the red line. It's actually below the red line. So you see how the prices reacted to the red line? You see that? And all these are all, proven. You see the prices is reacting to that. Yeah. I mean, no matter how cheap it is or etc., I mean, we follow a rules, and these are the rules, and these are the red lines rules. And if it's just not above it, then you roughly get the idea. It's not above the red line, it's not above the orange line, there's no bullishness in here. Okay, all right, okay. I think I've spoken for about 1.5 hours already. I hope that whatever that I've shared in this session is useful. I just am very proud of tech, which is here, this one here, and I hope that you can join our community. All right. So it's not only about looking at just one stock. It's about actually getting the knowledge, getting the skill, and getting the efficiency to be able to perform in this market. All right. So don't trade emptily. What we do provide is that 12 months. So a lot of people ask whether it is for newbies. I say yes, because who gives a 12 months hand holding period? Who gives the tools? Who gives the strategy? And it comes with a $1,500 cashback. All right. Okay. Any question here before I end the session? If no other questions, thanks a lot for your time. What I do is that please remember to attend the next week session, which is on Tuesday, because that's where we will listen to my students on how they trade. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. I would hope to see you again in my session, and I hope that you learned something. All right. And good night. Bye-bye.